Thank you. It's finally here. It's my turn. For over 20 years of my life, I have been conditioned to peeling a banana in just one way. I'll take a banana and I will start from the stalk and I'll peel it down. It was a normal thing to do for me. It was the only thing I ever knew. My parents did it that way. Pretty smart people. My brother, who is a genius, makes me look bad all the time, did it the same way. My friends around me did it the same way. So for me, it was just something normal. That was the way I ate my bananas, and I love bananas. Until when I sat down with a friend on a different continent, and she looked at me and she saw me peeling my bananas the way I'd always done it, from the stalk. And she looked at me and said, "You know, you're really strange." And you know, in that brief moment, I thought one of three possibilities. Either my friend was going crazy, she was joking, or this was actually an alien, and that in any moment, E.T. would appear from behind this human figure. Well, she was serious. She says, "That's not how to peel a banana." I said, "Are you serious? So how do you do it?" So she takes this banana, turns it upside down, and peels it from the bottom, the way monkeys do. And I tried it. It was actually better. My banana didn't get mushed up. You know, at times when you try to peel a banana from the stalk, it gets mushed up. It didn't get mushed up. It was really easy. It fell out real nice. It was beautiful, like watching ballet. But that experience was powerful. 7 out of 10 times, I still peel my banana from the stalk. I still do it. But those 3 times I start from the bottom are as a result of a shift in my thinking that didn't exist before. For me, that experience taught me to look at the world differently. It became the basis for improving my own personal creativity, for questioning those notions I held true, those beliefs that I held dear to my heart, that I understood were the only way to go about life. So the question is, what happens when once in a while we just step back and we question those beliefs we hold? Is it possible for us to find new opportunities, for us to embrace or connect to new possibilities or opportunities? And that for me has been the question that I've tried to ask at various points in my life, whether it's my personal life, whether it's my professional life, whether it is a new pursuit that I decide to take on. These are the kind of questions I've tried to ask. That experience was so powerful for me. Now, I spent part of my life in a developing country. I had a chance, because of my dad's job, I had the opportunity to live around the world. And I spent part of my life in a developing country. After living, in a developed and wealthy country, my dad moved to a part of the world where the basic amenities were not always there. And I love my parents for what they did for us, because my brother and I, they made sure that we were part of the community we lived in. We weren't different. We weren't privileged in any way. We were like other people. We didn't have fancy things. We had to figure things out ourselves. So when I hear some of the speeches or the talks this morning, when I relate some of the talks that have come before my speech, I can see that trend. That trend of how to think innovatively, how to question those things that we hold so dear to our hearts, how to question those beliefs that are precious to us. And so I had just gone to a high school that was really good, It was a boarding school. But there was one problem. There were no girls. No girls. For me, that was a big problem. So now I'm in this developing country and I'm going to university. For me, this is the first time in my whole life, with all the raging hormones in me, just in my late teens, I'd never seen so many beautiful girls in one place at a time. But this was in the middle of a developing country. And so we didn't always have the luxuries or the amenities that we have here. I couldn't always wake up and just flick on the light bulb. There was no electricity. It was impossible for me to just wake up in the morning, plug the iron, and try to get my clothes straightened up. And understanding where I came from an only boys' school, where I just could roll out of bed, pull my t-shirts from under the bed or wherever I was, put it on, and feel just great. That lifestyle wouldn't fly in this environment. I needed to make a good impression. So this was really important for me, to look good, to look my best. I wanted to impress the girl. There was nothing strange about that at that point in my life. And so what this did unknowingly to me was that I was really a very shy kid at that time because I'd been with boys all my life. So coming to this environment was a bit different for me. I didn't know how to talk to girls. I only knew one word, hi, and then the rest of the speech just vanished. So I needed to look neat, but it sort of depreciated my self-confidence. And like everybody else, I just dumped all the blame on the government. What a stupid government. You know, the politicians, we made jokes of everything that was wrong. It was all the politicians' fault. It was the government. No electricity, no electricity. We just kept on complaining every single moment. And we focused so much on the problem that we avoided the solution. It was impossible for us to get the solution. And when Brent was speaking, you could see that he was thinking past his problems. All the speakers that spoke about innovative ways of thinking or looking at solutions this morning went from a point where they were just fixated on the problem to what the opportunities were to make a difference. But one day it hit me. As I was walking to my room, it just hit me. That the problem with me looking so untidy or not looking my best was not the fact that there was no electricity. That was not the problem. Because what I needed was not electricity. As stupid as it sounds, what I needed was heat. Are you with me? That's all I needed. So what did I do? As a student, I didn't have lots of finances. I ran to a local market. I got a kerosene stove. Now, this might be very strange concepts for you, but it's really just a stove. You put in some kerosene, and then you sort of throw a match in there, and then it gives you some nice hot flames. I took an old iron that I hadn't been used for so long, and I cut the cord. And I took an old t-shirt. So every morning when I wake up, I'll take my iron, my cordless iron, just like a mobile phone, put it on the stove, and let it just, warm up. Just like that picture that I think it was Steven that showed us with the frying some bacon or some sausages on the iron. I'll just put my iron on the kerosene stove and I'll let it heat up. And I'll clean it with my old t-shirt and I'll iron my clothes. Now my friends saw me doing this and they were laughing at me. But after I started looking really good, I started getting the hot girls in school. I think they changed their minds. That this guy actually has something here. For me, that in the context of this vast ecosystem of ideas we call innovation, this was really little. It was nothing. But for me, it was important. It solved my need at that point in time. And not only did it solve my own need, my friends also benefited from it, my roommates. It was a shift in our thinking from being fixated on the problem of electricity to, okay, this is not really the problem. What are the solutions we need to ensure that life was better for us? And that really worked for me. It had a profound impact. One of those girls right now, I met my wife on campus. She's really, really hot. I got married to one of the hottest girls on campus, and she's here in this room. So, for a fact, it worked. But that's how good innovation can be. And the same thing is, these experiences have really had a profound impact on the way I think, even in my job. I love my job. I love what I do. My job is about trying to help the economy grow. It's about trying to understand the challenges that we face within our economy and find ways to solve those challenges. Now, when you think about that, that is virtually impossible for any small group of people to do. It's impossible. So what I really am, I'm just a little tiny dot in this vast and complex creative engine we call the economy. My colleagues and I know that we're just a little part of the solutions that create a vibrant economy. It takes lots of people. But one of the things I've had the privilege of seeing over the last few years I've been working with the local economic development agency is that I've been an internal observer to the astonishing mindset of the people that we work with, both within and outside the organization. So when I say we, this is really a community and a collective effort. I have seen over and over the strength and the power that emerges from that activity where people challenge their beliefs, where they question the things that we hold true, that we have always been brought up to believe. One of the biggest and one of the most successful economic growth stories in our region over the last 10 years has been the creation of an inland port. Now think about that for a brief moment. When you take into account the fact that we live in a landlocked city, that is the most ridiculous thing you can ever think about. Creating an inland port. Flat, no water bodies around, and you want to create an inland port. But people were able to step back and look at the assets we had. We were able to take the concept and the understanding behind the strategic locations of ports. Everybody knows that ports are the lifelines of civilizations. Asian civilizations have succeeded or failed on their proximity to water. The ability to trade has been the lifeline of nations located on the ports or near water bodies. Now, sitting around the table and people talking about creating an inland port in a landlocked city must have seemed like a very, very stupid idea. Extremely stupid idea. But when you take into account that since 2009, that concept has created or has attracted over $300 million in private sector investment and created as many as 1,000 jobs. That concept has proved to be one of the fastest growing opportunities that we have seen. Even the politicians can't believe how successful it is. And we're not done. But that goes to show that there is really a power in trying to question those things that for so long we've held true. Trying to find out what other possibilities there may be behind those veils that have clothed us for so long, that we have grown up looking at and believing in so deeply. It's a very difficult process. It's very hard for us to challenge our thinking. It's very hard for us to step outside our comfort zones. I still struggle with it. I struggle with the environment around me at times. I struggle with even the concept of economic development, the meaning of GDP, questioning the fact that, is that really what we should be looking at? Or should we be looking at the impact that an economy has on the lives of its people? The truth is this: a community is only as strong as the weakest of its members. It's all the concept of the weakest link. But I keep struggling to find new answers, to look at the world in a different place. It's a struggle. It's a personal struggle. It's not easy. But these experiences have taught me that if, in some measure, some tiny little measure, I could once every little while ask myself those questions. If I could venture into the scary territory of tearing apart those beliefs I've had for so long, those things that I'm scared to look beyond because it will shatter my total concept of the world I live in, my own little world. But the truth is this. This is what I really believe in, that if I can keep doing that, if I can keep tearing those veils and trying to look beyond those veils and trying to challenge those things that I'm so afraid to let go, I've come to really believe, I've come to prove it over and over again. It's a scary process, but I've come to prove and to accept that beyond those beliefs lie new opportunities and the opportunity and the ability to connect to new possibilities. Thank you.